Hey guys, my name is Kelly Cahoon. I'm a chef, a stay-at-home mom, and today we are cooking a beef tenderloin roast. All right, first things first, let's trim it up. This is a really beautiful cut of meat and super long. You can see that it's really thin on this side, but a lot thicker on this side. The whole idea of tying it is so we can fold this over and create the same width, and this will help us to have the whole thing cook really beautifully and really evenly. When you're spending money and you want your dish to cook really well and it's gonna be a showpiece and it's gonna be for your holidays, you need to impress your mother-in-law, this is a really, really beautiful piece of meat for that. So first things first, let's trim off the extra fat and the silver skin. This is a pretty good piece. There's not a ton that we need to do. You can leave a lot of this fat. It's not gonna hurt, it's all gonna render. But when there's a lot in one spot that's not gonna render, that's the stuff we're trying to get rid of. Or if there's this shiny right here, these shiny pieces, the silver skin, that's what we wanna get rid of also, because that won't render down. So we're gonna take our sharp knife and just cut off some of these big pieces. And we're gonna save this meat actually, because it's really great to use in gravies and in later recipes. So we're gonna save all of this really beautiful meat. So make sure your knife is super sharp, and you're just gonna come underneath this fat and this silver skin and really gently pull it away from the main piece of meat. Just like this. And this one doesn't need a ton of trimming. It's actually pretty good. We're gonna fold this over so it's even. And I'm gonna show you guys how to tie up a tenderloin roast. We're gonna start with our butcher's twine, and you wanna get a pretty good amount because you don't wanna have to retie it when you're halfway through. If you have to, it's not a big deal. We can always come back and fix it. Let's try to get a good amount going first. This is how to tie a beef tenderloin. We're gonna bring it to the very edge and just do a double knot right here, right at the very end. So we're gonna start with our double knot right on the end like this, and then you're gonna wrap the rope around your hand and just slide it right over the top and then pull it nice and tight. And then we're just gonna keep doing this for the entire length of our roast. Put it over your hand, slide it over the top, just like this. You're gonna do this over and over till we have it all the way down the entire length of our roast. All right, we're gonna salt this up, and then we're going to sear it in our cast iron pan. So let's put a little salt, a little pepper, and then we'll sear it right up. And when I say a little salt, I mean a pretty decent amount of salt. Keep in mind that you're cutting this meat when it's cooked into rounds. So your surface area is only about this big. So don't be afraid to season really well on the outside. So this is the beef tallow that we're gonna use to sear up our tenderloin roast. We're gonna let it cook about 3 to 5 minutes before turning it so the whole thing is seared really, really well. All right, it's nice and golden brown, so we're gonna take it off and let it cool for a little bit. And while that's cooling, we're gonna wrap it in foil to keep the juices in. And then we're going to get our veggies ready. So I cut up some really beautiful tri-colored potatoes. And next we're gonna add some onions and shallots, as well as our fennel. If you're not familiar with fennel, you can get it at any grocery store. And then we have our tri-colored carrots. We'll put our roasting pan back inside. We'll put just a touch of salt on these veggies. For the butter crust, we're gonna use a full cup of butter. More, if you decide you want more, you cannot have too much. You really can't. So let's start with our butter, and then we're gonna put about 2 tablespoons each of rosemary, thyme, and sage. This is about 3 large cloves of garlic. And then we have our soy sauce. If you have a soy allergy, coconut aminos work really great in lieu of the soy sauce. And then some Worcestershire sauce. We're also gonna add some orange zest to this butter, and that citrus is really gonna help bring out the flavors of all the herbs. All right, so this is gonna create a really, really beautiful crust on our tenderloin roast. We're gonna place this on the upper level. We're gonna grab a big lump like this and just place it right on top. It doesn't have to be pretty. Most of it's gonna melt off anyway. You just wanna make sure you get an even layer over the top of the entire tenderloin. And this will melt over and give us a really great base for our vegetables and our meat. Okay, so we're all set to get this cooking. So we're gonna put this in the oven at 425, and it'll be in there for about 15 minutes. Let's put it in. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes and I just pulled my roast out of the roasting pan, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it in foil. The reason we do this is to keep all the juices in, and it's gonna stay at least 10 minutes. You're gonna wanna keep it wrapped in foil. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with 1 cup of full fat sour cream. It's gonna be very rich and just give us a really good balance to all the herbs that we have on our tenderloin roast. So next we're going to add some grainy mustard. It's really important that you get a mustard with the grain because you really want that texture to show in your sauce. And then I like to get a Dijon because it's a little sweeter than your typical grainy mustard. And it will really balance our next ingredient, which is horseradish. So we're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of horseradish and just mix it all together. Then we're also going to add the zest of a full orange. I like adding a little bit more. If you're not super into citrus, you can definitely adjust as needed. Okay, so these are our vegetables that have kind of been roasting underneath. And you can see there's tons of butter in there. You got your drippings from your meat, and this is gonna just be so much flavor and so beautiful on our finished product. You wanna make sure you remove your butcher's twine before you cut into it. Nobody wants a bite of rope. So we're just gonna start on the outside and do some pretty thin slices. People can have more or less. Absolutely beautiful. Just layer this up right down the middle. And give every piece a nice dollop. And don't worry if it's not perfect. We're actually gonna cover it with more garnish. We're gonna put our parsley over the top to add a little green, some pomegranates, and then we're gonna finish with just a bit more orange zest. Just enough to give it some visual interest and a little more flavor. All right, and that's it. That, my friends, is a beef tenderloin roast with cream sauce, citrus, pomegranates, fennel, potatoes, and carrots, and a perfect dish for your Christmas dinner.